Hi guys, my name is Olga Noel and I make ball jointed dolls. Let's talk about what I used to know anatomy the way I do now. Anatomy resources for BJD artists who had no classic training and had to find everything out by themselves. Today I have for you one course, 3 physical books that I'm going to show you, one PDF, and one app. Let's start with a course, which actually was my intro to anatomy. A friend showed it to me. It was in 2015, so 9 years ago exactly. I don't really remember how it started, but I have course notes that I take everywhere with me. So one extra self-printed book, sorta. And the knowledge that I gained there is the foundation for every bit of info that I learned later on. So the course is Scott Eden's digital figure sculpting course. So at the time, my friend had already had like 4 or 5 lectures. So I was watching the first 4 by myself mainly. And Scott's explanation actually featured everything. They were bones, like the skeleton, the landmarks, muscle, their origin, their insertion. Every single action that muscle is performing was mentioned there. Even the MRI scans and muscle depth was explained and shown. This course was obviously for 3D artists, but I really enjoyed looking through the lectures. I never sculpted in ZBrush, so for me it was just lectures and course notes that my friend shared with me. Then I would come back home and sculpt things on my own, and I never actually completed the course. Nevertheless, I really worked extensively on those course notes. Let me show you. So, this was the me learning the muscle group that was the most complicated for me. The hand, all those tiny muscles. I would draw a lot. I did not know that we had those kinds of muscles at the time. I honestly never sculpted in ZBrush. I never completed the course. It was just a glimpse into what I could do. Why I really wish that I did learn, or I did start this course, because after those explanations, after every single muscle group explained, anatomy sort of poisoned my brain, but I never actually had this deeper understanding and appreciation of the human body. After this course, I started buying books uncontrollably. I understood more, I learned more about what human body consists of, but I couldn't really translate what I knew into what I sculpted. I will definitely talk about the difference in anatomy approach for BJDs down the road. For now, let's just see what books are helping me to this day. First off, let's start with a PDF. I present to you Anatomy for Sculptors. The links and names of things I'm sharing with you today are all in the description box. This PDF was a present, and I had the best time understanding that the form of the human body is not just the muscles underneath, but also skin and fat as well. Don't get me wrong, I knew that. I knew that you would put some extra layer on top of your muscles to make a perfect doll, but I honestly did not know how to convey it. This is the book that bridged the gap between the reality and what I had in my head. It just never was properly explained anywhere, and in this book they did a very good job explaining it. If you aren't already subscribed, go subscribe to their IG account and check out their blog. I will also share all the links in the description box. I love reading their blog to this day, so they explain extremely well, and I'm definitely using the PDF all the time. Every single time when I sculpt, I open it, and even if I don't really need it by now, I still find it comforting that every single thing is explained there, and if I need it, I would just glance up and see everything. Okay. Next book. Next book was also a present. This is the book I'm talking about. It's a Russian book, but it has a very peculiar and very useful information organization. I find it very useful for BJD artists. However, people who do figurative sculpture hate it. I honestly don't really know why. I can guess, but I don't know why. So for me personally, this book is a very, very good thing to have. Let me show you the insides. On one side, they have all the names of the muscles. By the way, you should absolutely know the names of the muscles, because when you know them, you can call them, and if you call them, they appear. It works like magic, I'm telling you. And the other side, It has the body part isolated, and this body part is actually in a neutral position where every single muscle is shown, and it is very important to have this on hand whenever you sculpt a BJD. So whenever I feel lost in the muscle ridges, I open this book and immediately find what I need. It also has some classic sculptures and pictures where you would find all those like muscles that were explained before highlighted and underlined, and like you would see the action those muscles perform frozen, so to say. And this is probably why people who do sculptures do not like this book, because there is too little of an action and too much of static, motionless thing that is happening here. So, but this book and this approach where there is a relaxed, static picture of all the muscles, of like isolated body parts, this what makes this book so great for me. The only downside to this book is that references are all male. So when I sculpted girls, I had to Google a lot more compared to me now sculpting a boy. Right now I can use every single reference I have without any filter. So if you find something similar in your language with similar information organization and you want to make dolls, do buy that. It will guide you like a map, and it will make all the processes way better. Is it better than Anatomy for Sculptors? I honestly can't say. I really use them both on a regular basis, and if I have to choose just two books, I would definitely choose these two as my go-to, and I could forget about everything else I have. The next book is the one that I had in my wish list for a long time, since 2016 if I'm not mistaken. I initially wanted it because I felt very lost and I needed more explanation. It's Anatomy for Artists by Sarah Simblett. Here is the book. And the unique feature of this book is that it has drawings of what's underneath the skin. I now understand that with my current knowledge, I don't really need it. I can live without it, but it was in my wish list, so I probably should have let it go, but I didn't. So now I have it and I still use it. Back then, in 2016, I could have benefited from having it so much. So if you're feeling lost and the perspective of sort of X-ray vision excites you, this one book is for you. It will save your life. You can invest in it freely. The last book I have is more of an assembly of art projects and cultural references that uses anatomy. This is the book in question. I didn't know what it was because in the shop it was wrapped and I saw just the word anatomy and obviously it attracted my attention immediately. It was very exciting to see how different artists see anatomy, how they use it, and how they leverage their knowledge to convey their ideas. This book contains basically everything from ancient drawing to some kid shows. I really enjoyed it, and I'm reading it like one page at a time because I really want to savor it and to remember to retain this information. If I would go and sit down and read it in one go, I would probably forget a lot. Right now, I'm really happy that I have it and I can open it on a random page and see what they have there. On top, they have the art piece, and on the bottom here, they have 3 little things explaining what it is and who drew it, what was the idea. I really like this book. So this book is a very nice thing to have when you need to touch the art grass, sort of. And it's very good to understand that your creation is something that inherited so much from the past projects that people created. Whether you want it or not, you are a successor of a huge anatomy practices that were used to convey art thoughts. Now, the last thing that I'm going to share with you is the app. It's called Complete Anatomy and I love it. I feel like this app is the only thing that makes the difference sometimes for my sculpting. It's a platform basically that gives you access to Anatomy Atlas in 3D. Now they have 2 genders for modal. Back when I purchased it, you guessed it, there was only male. Now you can switch genders and it makes huge difference sometimes. And they also have so much more features that I just never use, but they have it and that's great. What I use there and why I use it. My go-to route is modals. I pick one, male or female, pick a muscle, I isolate it, read the facts about it if I'm in the mode, I rarely am, and then I can't stress this enough, how important that is and how big of a game changer that is. I click on motion and I see all the movements this particular muscle can do, the movement that this particular muscle plays a part at. It really helps me to cup my dolls in all the right places. It also helps to preserve the feel of a relaxed body. Also, points of origin and insertion of the muscle is pretty cool. It's a very good thing to know where those muscles start and where they disappear to. One thing though about this app, it is quite useless if you don't already know anatomy on some level. If you feel lost and overwhelmed and you feel that muscle isolation is too soon for you, maybe stick to the first 2 books and a course by Scott Eaton, and then it will be great if you come back to this app knowing a lot of information already and just benefiting from those functions that I just mentioned. I purchased a lifetime subscription to this app back in 2016, 17, 18, I don't really remember when, but now I can't find it. Now it's yearly subscription, so it might be pretty pricey, but they have a lot of new features. You might find that it's worth paying a little bit more for those functions that they offer. So to recap, extremely useful PDF. My favorite book with isolated body parts in neutral position. The book that will serve as a guide if you ever feel lost. When looking at skin, people have the audacity to wear over those pretty muscles of theirs. An art book about anatomy as means of expressing bigger thought. And an app for those who already know something about anatomy and want to see muscles in motion. Okay, that is that. Now, I showed you all those nice resources in action, how I use them when I want to sculpt something. Go check out my IG short video to see how I do that. And I hope this was useful for you. Put a like if it was. Subscribe to the channel, ask me any questions you'd like, and have the best day. Bye!